She was the type of person who never left a book out of place. But when Evelyn Reed vanished, detectives realized this was no ordinary disappearance. What they found would uncover a 15-year-old secret, and a betrayal so shocking, you'll question how well you really know your closest friends. Evelyn Reed was a librarian, and not just by profession, by nature. She believed in order, in systems, everything in its place. She never left a book out of place. So when she didn't show up for her 9 a.m. shift on Tuesday, October 14th, 2024, and her manager found a copy of The Big Sleep lying flat on the checkout counter where Evelyn had been working the night before, a quiet alarm began to ring. Evelyn Reed was 34 years old, quiet, reliable. She'd worked at the library for 6 years. She lived alone in a modest one-bedroom apartment on 164th Avenue Northeast. She wasn't the type of person who'd just disappear. People like Evelyn don't wake up one day and vanish. But she did. Her manager, Susan, called Evelyn's cell phone. It went straight to voicemail. She tried again an hour later. Same thing. 2 messages later, Susan called the Redmond Police Department for a welfare check. She even apologized to the dispatcher, saying, "This probably sounds silly, but it's just not like her." 2 uniformed officers arrived at Evelyn's apartment complex around noon. The North Park apartments were modern, clean, filled with young professionals, Microsoft employees, Amazon engineers, people who kept to themselves. There was no answer at Evelyn's door. The officers asked the manager for the master key and entered apartment 204. The place was immaculate, almost unnaturally so. No overturned furniture, no broken glass, no signs of a struggle. A half-finished mug of tea sat on the kitchen counter. A paperback was on the nightstand, a bookmark neatly placed 1/3 through. It looked like she had just stepped out for a moment. But the officers noticed 2 details that didn't make sense. First, on the floor of her closet, there was an empty space where her hiking boots usually sat. Her day pack, a green Osprey, was gone too. Second, her car, a gray 2018 Honda CR-V, was missing from its parking spot. That could mean she went hiking. It was something Evelyn loved, but her cell phone was still off, and her wallet and keys weren't on the small entry table where she usually left them. They logged the initial report. Missing person. Possibly a hiker who had an accident. But let me ask you this. If Evelyn went hiking, why didn't she tell anyone? Wednesday morning, Detective Frank Miller caught the case. Miller was a 25-year veteran of the Redmond Police Department. Calm, methodical, a man who didn't trust simple explanations. He was partnered with Detective Sarah Chen, young, sharp, and tech-savvy. Their first question was obvious. Who knew Evelyn best? They started with her only close friend, a fellow librarian named Chloe Vance. Chloe came to the station pale and shaking, clutching a tissue like a lifeline. "We were supposed to have dinner Tuesday night," she said through tears. "She canceled at the last minute. She texted me around 5 p.m., said she wasn't feeling well. That was the last time I heard from her." Miller leaned forward. "Chloe, was Evelyn upset about anything lately? Anything unusual?" Chloe hesitated. Then her voice dropped. "Her ex-boyfriend, Mark. They broke up a month ago. It was bad. He wasn't taking it well. He was intense, calling, texting all the time. She was scared of him. Mark Jennings, the ex-boyfriend. In every missing person case, that's where you start." Miller and Chen drove to Bellevue to pay him a visit. Mark was a software engineer, early 30s, handsome in a slightly worn way. When they told him Evelyn was missing, he looked genuinely shocked. But when the questions turned to their breakup, he got defensive. "Yeah, we broke up. It happens. I was upset. I said some things. But I would never hurt her. I loved her." Chen's voice was calm but direct. Where were you Monday night, Mark? Here, at home, watched a movie. Anyone with you? Can anyone confirm that? He stopped pacing. No, I was alone. An angry ex with no alibi. That's a big red flag. They got a warrant for his phone records. The texts to Evelyn were exactly as Chloe described. Increasingly desperate, even threatening. The last one, sent at 8:15 p.m. Monday, read, "You can't just ignore me. I'm going to come over there right now." Did he go over there? Did it end in violence? It was a strong theory. But they had no crime scene, no body, no evidence. Just a missing woman and a suspicious ex. Miller reached out to Evelyn's only living relative, her older brother, David Reed, who lived in Portland. When he called, David's tone was cold, detached. "I haven't talked to Evie in months. We're not close." "When was the last time you saw her?" "At our parents' funeral, 2 years ago." Miller learned that their parents had left the family home in Seattle to Evelyn. David contested the will and lost. Bad blood, a possible motive. But David had a confirmed alibi. Friends, surveillance cameras, credit card receipts. He was in Portland all Monday night. So the focus stayed on Mark Jennings, and the local news smelled blood. Local librarian missing, ex-boyfriend questioned. Mark's face was on every screen. And you know how the public can be. They convicted him in 48 hours. Then came Friday, 4 days after Evelyn vanished. A U.S. Forest Service ranger was checking the parking lot at the Lake Serene trailhead. It's a popular but dangerous hike in the Cascade Mountains, off Highway 2. He saw a gray CRV covered in pine needles. He ran the plates. Evelyn Reed's car. Miller and Chen drove out to the mountains. What they found was strange. The car was unlocked. The keys were in the ignition. And Evelyn's wallet, driver's license, credit cards, $60 cash, was sitting on the passenger seat in plain view. Think about that. Who goes hiking and leaves their car unlocked, their wallet in the open, and their keys in the ignition? No one. Miller shook his head. This is a dump. Someone staged this. They want us to believe she went hiking, got lost, and died in the wilderness. A massive search and rescue operation began. 3 days, dogs, drones, helicopters. Nothing. No footprints, no clothing, not even a broken branch. Miller was sure. Evelyn wasn't on that mountain. But where was she? The staged car only made Mark look guiltier. He was a hiker. He knew the trails. They brought him in again. This time, they read him his rights. For 6 hours, Miller and Chen grilled him. You killed her, Mark. You dumped her car to throw us off. Where is her body? Mark denied everything. He swore he never went near her apartment. I was angry. I sent texts. But I'm not a killer. I didn't do this. Finally, he asked for a lawyer, and the interview was over. The investigation stalled. They had a prime suspect, but no evidence. And the pressure was building. Media, the public, Evelyn's friends. Miller felt like he was missing something. So he went back to the beginning, to Evelyn herself. Who was she, really? Chen dug into Evelyn's finances, and that's when they found the secret. Evelyn, the quiet librarian making $55,000 a year, had been withdrawing $2,000 in cash every month for a year. That's $24,000. And no one knew where it was going. Chen kept digging. She found a second email account under a fake name. The emails were short, cryptic. Payment received. See you next month. Don't be late. It wasn't online shopping. It wasn't a hobby. This was blackmail. Evelyn was paying someone to keep a secret. But who? And what secret? Chen looked deeper. 6 months earlier, Evelyn sent one email that said, I can't make it to Fremont on Tuesday. I'll have to mail it. Fremont, a quirky neighborhood in Seattle, known for the troll statue under the bridge. Miller sent 2 officers to canvass the area. At a coffee shop, a barista recognized Evelyn's photo immediately. "Oh yeah, the librarians." "Librarians, plural?" the officer asked. "Yeah, she always came in with her friend, curly hair. They'd sit in the corner table. Sometimes they argued." The officer showed her a photo of Chloe Vance. "That's her." Chloe Vance, the grieving best friend. The one who told them Mark was dangerous. Why was Evelyn secretly meeting her at a coffee shop? And why was Evelyn paying $2,000 a month to her best friend? Miller and Chen dug into Chloe's alibi for Monday night. She said she was teaching a yoga class in Kirkland. It sounded solid, but when Chen called the studio, the owner told her Chloe had called in sick. She had arranged a substitute. Chloe had lied. The next morning, they brought Chloe in. This time, she wasn't treated as a friend. She was a suspect. Miller sat across the table, calm and cold. "Chloe, we know you weren't at the yoga studio Monday. We know Evelyn was paying you. We know you were meeting her in secret. Do you want to tell us the truth now?" Chloe's mask broke. She stared at the table. The silence stretched. Then she whispered, "It was an accident." And she began to talk. The story was darker than anyone expected. 15 years ago, Evelyn and Chloe were college roommates. One night, after a party, Evelyn drove them home drunk. On a dark road near campus, they hit a cyclist. He survived, but barely. Broken back, brain injury. They panicked. They fled. And the police never found the driver. They made a pact. Never speak of it again. And for more than a decade, they didn't. But a year ago, Chloe's life was falling apart. Debt, eviction. She reminded Evelyn of the accident, asked for money, and Evelyn, drowning in guilt, paid her. Every month. $2,000 to keep the secret. But on Monday night, Evelyn told Chloe she was done. She would confess to the police. The hit and run, the blackmail, everything. Chloe panicked. I went to her apartment to talk, to beg her not to do it. She wouldn't listen. We argued. She called me a monster. And I just snapped. Chloe grabbed a heavy glass bookend and struck Evelyn once. She fell, and she didn't get up. In one moment of rage, Chloe had traded blackmail for murder. The rest was chillingly methodical. She cleaned the apartment, wrapped the body in a blanket, drove Evelyn's car to Lake Serene to stage the lost hiker's story, buried Evelyn in a shallow grave miles away on a logging road. And then she played the part of the grieving best friend, pointed the finger at Mark, directed the investigation. Chloe led Miller and Chen to the grave, and there they found Evelyn Reed. The case was closed. Chloe was charged with first-degree murder, she confessed. The media went wild. The blackmailing librarian story was a sensation. Mark Jennings was exonerated, but his life was ruined. And Evelyn's brother, David, was left to mourn a sister he barely knew. But here's the part that haunts Detective Frank Miller. When they reopened the 15-year-old hit-and-run case, they found an old eyewitness statement. A woman walking her dog that night said she saw the car, and she swore she saw two people in the front seats. Chloe's entire story blamed Evelyn for the accident. But what if Chloe wasn't just the passenger? What if she was the driver? What if she killed Evelyn not just for blackmail, but to bury a deeper secret? We'll never know. Chloe Vance will spend the rest of her life in prison. But the full truth might be buried deeper than Evelyn Reed. So I'll leave you with this. When you look at the people closest to you, the friends you'd trust with your life, what are they really hiding? And how far would they go to keep those secrets buried? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, because the next one will shock you even more.